If you're looking for a mixer to use in your live stream or in your podcast, the brand new MCaster Live from Mackie might be on your radar.
Transform. Yeah, cool.
In this video, I'll walk you through its features and its functionality to hopefully help you decide if this is the right device to take your productions up a notch. My name is Mike, and I make videos to help voice actors and podcasters set up their home studio. If that sounds interesting to you, I hope you'll consider subscribing. In full disclosure, the folks over at Mackie sent me the MCaster Live and a whole bunch of other gear to help make this video, but I'm not actually compensated to make this video. They have no editorial input. In other words, they have no say in what I'll say, and they won't see this video before you do. And really, my only goal here is to help you understand how the device works, to help you make a decision on whether or not it's right for you. The MCaster Live is a USB mixer for your live streams or for your podcasts or live performances. There are 3 different inputs that can be combined in a variety of ways, and all those inputs get condensed into a stereo output signal that you can use over your live stream or your Zoom calls or in a podcast or wherever you want your audio to go. On 2 of the channels, there are different effects to liven up your stream. There are stream effects, which are special effects like reverb or voice changing or echo. And then there are also contour effects, which can alter the sound of the microphone, sort of to improve the sound of your voice or sound of the microphone. As an example, Mackie sent me this microphone here. I'm recording this through this condenser mic. This is the EM91C from Mackie. And we'll hear later all the different ways that the MCaster can change the tone of this mic. So just as a quick sneak preview, I'm using one of the contour effects now to thicken up the sound of my voice. And if I turn that effect off, you can see how the timbre, how the tone of my voice changes. And then I can mix some of that contour effect back in to thicken up the sound and I think improve the sound of this somewhat inexpensive microphone. There are 3 channels, as I said before. On channel 1, it can accept a microphone via its XLR port for either a condenser or a dynamic microphone, and it will provide 48 volts of phantom power if the mic needs it. Just press the 48V button on the side, and that will provide the necessary electricity to power up the microphone. If instead of an XLR microphone, you have a wired gaming headset, for example, you can alternatively plug into the microphone into the side where it's marked with the headset icon. And in this case, it's an either-or situation, either the XLR or the headset on the side. You choose which one is your channel 1. Now, as a quick aside here, the headset jack does not provide plug-in power. So if you have a headset mic that needs something called plug-in power to work, that's not compatible with this input. So that means things like certain lavalier mics or the on-camera style mics that you might have for your camera. This kind of mic is not compatible with that headset jack. You select which of those 2 mic inputs you want on channel 1 with this button here. You see how it's got this microphone icon here. If I switch it over to the headset, there's not one plugged in, so you won't hear me, but that's how you switch back and forth. That's how you make your choice. The second channel, which I'll call channel 2, even though there's no label here, can either be sound from your computer over the USB cable or via a 3.5mm jack on the side with the little keyboard icon. Now, if you're using an external source, it should have a line out, and really anything with a line out will work here. And then you can either have the mixer process audio from your computer or the external input, so if you're in a live situation. And just like channel 1, you make your selection here on the front. So right now this is set on the computer icon because I'm sending the output from the mixer to my recording software. But you switch it with a press of that button. Finally, there's a third input on the side indicated with the phone icon. And this really can be any device with a line out or a headphone level signal. So if you want to plug in your phone or a media player or anything else that's got like a headphone level signal, you can do that there. Now, another option for channel 3 is to hook up something like a wireless mic. This could be something like a Mackie wireless pack here, where it turns the dynamic microphone into a wireless microphone so that you minimize the wires on your desk, but this has a line out that you can plug into the phone jack. Now, both channel 1 and channel 2 can be modified with the stream and the contour effects. Channel 3 down here bypasses the effects and is a clean pass-through. So you could send music through channel 3 and not have it be altered, or your wireless mic, for example, through there and have it not be altered. Okay, before we move on to the top, let's just stay with the side for just a moment longer. There's a section on the side here marked out with two outputs, one for your headphones and one for external speakers. I have these Mackie studio monitors plugged into the headphone jack so I can hear what is going out over the mixer. And then second, there's a picture with the speakers on it. So you could plug in a set of speakers, or you could send the output to another device, another source, something like an ATEM Mini or a Feel World video switcher, anything with a line in. You could send the output from this over to that device. Then you can have a nice vocal processing chain that doesn't tax your system while improving your mic's sound. On the top here, this is the headphone volume. It doesn't have any impact on the outgoing signal, just for your headphones. At the bottom, there are three knobs. These control how loud channel 1, channel 2, and channel 3 are in your mixer's output. Dial each one until each source is loud enough. So for example, if I turn this up, you'll hear my microphone gets louder or my microphone gets quieter. It controls how loud each one of these are in your output stereo signal. On the right here, we have these two green knobs. The top is to select your stream effect, and the bottom is to select your contour effect. Each of these have several effects, and they're not really labeled. You just choose by turning the knob, and they have sort of this die pips that sort of show which one you're selecting. And as we do that, I'm going to reference you to the top row of knobs next to the stream effect, for example. So as I turn the knob, you'll see it will switch from the dry version of my voice, really going through what's coming into the microphone, over to the effect. So if I switch it all the way up, so this is the number 2 effect, and you can see that it changes quite a bit. And then I can mix how much I want of the effect versus my voice just by dialing in that effect. So this is an old-timey like an old-timey microphone or maybe a phone simulation. But you can also do something like, I think number 0 is reverb. So if you want to sound like you're coming from a large room or something like that, or you want to mix in just a little tiny bit of reverb just to smooth out your voice a little bit, all the way down to it sounds like you've fallen into a well. I think this one is a flanger effect that will sort of move the sound from side to side, back and forth.
You can sound like a demon with choice number 4 here. So that gives you the deep monster voice. So if you're voicing something for a cartoon,
you can mix in how much of you want that voice to hear, so you can actually have it
work its way in over time as you transform. Yeah, cool.
So I can instead have this dreamy, airy voice like I just took in some helium from a balloon or something like that. So anyway, you get two
different sort of a voice pitch down and a voice pitch up. And then finally, the last one is an echo. So if you needed something for special effect, you get that sort of echo back and forth. So I find that it's really hard to talk to echo. You would have to but you could have that effect. You could just turn the knob and bring that in echo for a special effect. And so those are the stream effects. You get reverb, echo, some voice changing options, and you select them with the knob. And that same goes for the contour effects, which is the next row down. So right now I've got effect number 6 mixed in just a little bit. And if I turn it all the way up, you can see it actually very significantly changes the tone of the microphone. But if you dial it back, you can see it actually can, having that effect blended in with your voice, it can actually, in this case, sort of warm my voice up a little bit. And I think it makes the inexpensive mic sound a lot better. But you can do that for any number of the other choices. So we'll choose let's go with number 2. So by mixing the signal all the way up, you see it thins out the microphone, mainly makes it hot. I think it's probably like an overdrive or something like that. But as you mix it in just a little bit, you can hear how it modifies the voice. And you can really just choose how much of each of those effects that you want. Let's pick another one. Number 0 here, the first one. That adds a lot of bass and roundness, thickness to the microphone. And so you can dial that in all the way, or really if you're just trying to thicken up your voice, maybe you only want to add about 30% or about a third of the way up. Maybe you want to just round out your voice a little bit with those contour effects. But what's really nice about the contour effects is you can add that processing here in the mixer. So rather than trying to emulate that through VSTs and something like OBS with a series of different plugins that all can potentially tax your system and use up valuable cycles for, instead of dedicating them to your gaming stream, you would dedicate them to something like OBS. You can actually have all of that happen here in the device. In much the same way that people might use a DBX 286 to try and improve their voice, you could do it also here in the M-Caster. You can make the microphone really hot. You get plenty of gain out of it. You can make them really hot, and I'll probably clip by doing that. But you can. There's a lot of flexibility here, and all of this gets mixed down to the stereo signal on its way out. There's one more button here that I didn't go over. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a light on the bottom that it casts a glow onto the desk, and that's just a switch, just to go through a basic, half dozen colors. There's no effects to it. You can either cycle it off so there's no color, or you can just cycle through the different colors and have that cast a little bit of a glow on your desk. But otherwise, it's just there for looks. So there are a couple of things that you should know about that I think are areas that you should be aware of when you're purchasing the device. First is that the device doesn't give you a lot of visual feedback. It's something you need to know. For example, the 48 volt does not have a light to know that 48 volts your phantom power is turned on. I wish that there was a light that indicates that 48 volts is on, because it's hard to visually see if that button is in or out. I would love to have some sort of meter that shows how hot your signal is. Since all of this gets combined into one signal, it's hard to know if it's too loud on the outgoing. I wish there was even just an indicator between green, yellow, and red that showed how loud the outgoing signal is, because there is a risk that as you dial in these different the different mix, it's hard to know. You have to rely on your headphones to know if it's too loud, because you don't have any sort of visual feedback. And then finally, the last sort of piece I have is, because this is a mixer, because it's combining a lot of different sources together, there is a little bit of underlying noise that you can hear. Now, I've tried it with a number of different microphones, whether it's the $50 microphone or my $800 microphone. There is always an underlying hiss, and I wish that was not in the preamplifier, but it is there. Something that you need to be aware of when you purchase it. So that's all I have for you today. Now, go get yourself a microphone, any microphone, and maybe a little mixer to improve your live streams. But get out there so you can record something amazing. Great. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.